Tell me, what is the biggest thing holding you back right now? Poor strategy, lack of skill, the economy, your competitors? Maybe. What if it's something else though? What if it's something that you literally cannot see? My name's Dave Pender. I've spent the last 27 years in sales and sales leadership. And on this channel, I share practical ideas, mistakes I've made, and leadership blind spots that can make a real difference to the way that you lead and sell. And one of the things that's fascinated me throughout my career is this: the mistakes that hurt us most, they're usually not the ones we know we're making. They're the ones we don't realize we are making, right? And that's what makes them blind spots. By definition, you cannot see them. And if you can't see them, how do you fix them? Right? Think about it. How many times have you looked back at a decision and thought, how did I not see that? Or finished a meeting wishing you'd asked a different question, or realized months later that you'd been solving the wrong problem all along. How many times has that happened? And at the time, you weren't trying to make a bad decision. You genuinely believed you were making the best one you could in that moment. And that's what makes blind spots so dangerous, right? One of the biggest myths in leadership is that experience eliminates blind spots. I don't agree with that at all. I actually think the opposite can happen, right? In a previous video, I talked about how experience gives us confidence, and then confidence becomes certainty, and certainty, that's dangerous. It closes curiosity. And suddenly, we stop asking, what am I missing? A brilliant question, right? But we don't ask it anymore. And it's not because we can't become arrogant. It's because our brains are just protecting the stories that we've already decided are true. It's human nature. Now, blind spots, they show up everywhere, right? The salesperson convinced the deal is almost done. So then they miss that the stakeholder that they've never spoken to is actually there. The sales leader who thinks morale is high, right? But actually frustration's bubbling underneath. Or the manager convinced that they're communicating clearly, half the team's actually interpreting their message completely differently. Or the parent who thinks they're being encouraging, but the child is just hearing pressure. And none of these people are fools. Some of them are fools, but none of them lack experience, right? They're simply missing information they don't know that they're missing. And that's a really big problem because blind spots don't create an occasional mistake. They shape your career right from the passenger seat, and they cause you to lose deals you thought you'd won. They cause you to miss opportunities you never even realized were there. They damage relationships without understanding why. And all the while, you're wondering why you're working so hard without making the progress that you expected. It's really frustrating. And because you can't fix what you can't see, that is why a blind spot is so menacing. You can't go looking for something you don't realize actually exists. And so we repeat the same patterns, the same conversations, the same mistakes again and again and again. And all because we are working with incomplete information. So, looking back at my own career, I feel like almost every significant mistake I've made had one thing in common. I wasn't ignoring the obvious, I genuinely couldn't see what I was missing. And you know what? Neither could the people around me, right? Because many of them had exactly the same blind spot. It really does happen that way. And so that's why I think one of the most valuable questions any leader can ask, it isn't, am I right? It's, what might I be missing? Right? That single question that has changed the way that I make decisions. It's changed the way I lead, the way I coach, the way I think. And the good news, right, is there is a huge reward for uncovering your blind spots. And look, don't go thinking and getting all excited that suddenly you're going to become like the perfect version of yourself. You will not. Because when you eliminate one blind spot, unfortunately, the nature of them is there's normally another one lurking. But once you uncover one and you do something about it, that's progress. You make better decisions, you ask better questions, you stop repeating the same patterns, and over time, you become more confident, more effective, and every blind spot you uncover, that is one less thing that is holding you back. So here's a question I'll leave you with. What is the blind spot that's affecting your decisions today without you even knowing about it. Because there's a paradox, right? The biggest thing holding you back, it may already be affecting your decisions. You just can't see it. And until you find a way to uncover it, it will probably keep showing up. So in my next video, I'm going to tackle the obvious question, which is if you can't see your own blind spots, how do you actually uncover them? And I will see you then. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. Hit that little bell thing so you know when our future videos are dropping. And let me know in the comments, like, what is the one blind spot you only recognized in hindsight? I would really love to hear your thoughts. See you next time. Let's go.